Okay. All right. Part 2 of Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. What are you guys thinking of this book so far? Yeah? Yeah. It's a classic. It's so funny. The reason why I do in parts is literally different publications have different chapters that break in different places because he has like these principles throughout. Some people made those like the one chapter, and Carnegie's probably like what in the world. But we do it by parts. So we are in, if part 1 was fundamental techniques of handling people, and then we talked about basically people respond to incentives and that type of thing. You know, you got to make it in your own self-interest to do what you want them to do. Now that sounds a little manipulating, but honestly, if you're thinking about other people's self-interests, are you selfish? No, you're thinking of them, which is actually quite kind. And part 2, ways to make people like you. And you're like, sales course, what does this matter? I always want you to tie this back to sales. If people like you, will they buy from you? All right, better question. If people don't like you, will they buy from you? Today we're going to work through some techniques in our textbook. I believe it's chapter 4. Yeah, I was reading through here last night. I believe God puts people in places at certain times, but you know, I kind of looked through this book lightly when I was picking it and everything. I really liked it, but at the same time, I had no idea how much it's like going to creep me out because on page, where is it? Either before, there we go. So they started out talking about a pharmaceutical rep. Then they started talking about an ophthalmologist talking with a lens person. Okay, I was a pharmaceutical rep. My kid's mom, my wife, my sugar mama. Okay, she's an ophthalmologist and she deals with these reps. Okay, last week I can't remember what but it's like eerie. All right, you'd be like, okay, what position do you play? Second. All right, it's like this entire chapter was about a second baseman at a small private college in South Carolina. I mean, it's just stupid. This week, we get to learn about a guy working for Michelin in sales. Now, I worked as a market analyst, but you know the interview I got was to be a truck tire salesman. That was the best ever song. Okay? This is just stupid. I'm trying not to look forward, like, you know, like a good book, you kind of want to flip ahead and see how it ends, but if they start talking about a lowly Pennington seed rep selling clay pots and he turns one over and there's a raccoon underneath it, we're gonna have to call the publisher because this is my life story. Anyway, maybe it just means I'm meant to teach this class. I don't know. These are all questions we must ask philosophically. However, as a salesperson, there are questions you need to ask literally. Okay, and that's what we're talking about this week. Communication. Communication, communication, communication. How do you learn more about someone? I'm asking. Oh no, there we go. How do you learn more about someone? Ask questions. For a minute there, I could tell the gears were grinding. They were like, I'm gonna Facebook stalk them.
Probably wasn't my idea.
Yeah.
Andy had it on the brain, I could tell. Okay.
I just want to be the first to say it.
Are you guys like me? You're in a social setting and you ask, oh, hey, what's your name? And you very clearly look at me and say, my name is Rowan. 3 seconds later, I have no idea what her name is. Dang it! I asked the question and then I forgot to what? Not my strong suit. I think I did this morning, dude. I have these folks working on a project at my house, and they're really nice. they're just, I mean, they're literally artists. I mean, you watch them, it's incredible. It's incredible what they're doing. I mean, there's no way. Like, I struggled going to Toys R Us when it was there and getting one of those plastic pulls. Okay? Seriously, I did that one time, forgot to weight it down, drove down to 29, and went flying out. Like, it was like $5, I'll just keep going. Went back, got another one for my dog, who then also has webbed feet and hates water. Okay? Yeah, she's a lap terrier mix. Terriers hate water, I love it. I figured webbed feet got meant for her to be in water, apparently not. She looks at that water like how I look at a course in astrophysics. No, thank you. Okay? Listen. Everyone thinks about sales and talking and being slick. I hope we've dismissed that from now. All right? The whole point of the first 3 chapters was to be, it's not about that. It's honestly, it's not about that. It really, truly is not about that. It's about being someone they can trust, being someone that's dependable, being someone who asks questions, number 1, but then what? Like when I say, what is your name? I pause. I don't say, well, I've said what I wanted to say. And while I'm thinking to myself, I said what I wanted to say, and she says her name, I didn't catch it. Happened to me this morning with the artists that are working in my yard, that this one sweet guy, he's an awesome dude. He even went to Clemson. And he got a business degree, but just loves doing what he's doing in a hole in the side of our yard more than anything. He's an artist. And he told me his name this morning, and I forgot to listen. So not just listening, active listening. So we're going to talk about 2 things here: asking questions and active listening. All right. Let's start with the questions, because it would be awkward if you just went into a sales, situation and you just sat there and listened. Correct? That would be like you're checking somebody out at work or something, and you say, "Would you like a receipt?" And I just look at you.
Yeah.
You're like, "Okay, weirdo alert." Listening can make you a weirdo if you don't ask questions before. What type of questions do we need to ask? Well, I'm glad you asked that. Let me ask you something. I just asked you a question. What type of questions do you want me to ask? Is that a yes or a no?
Ask me like 3 questions in a question. I don't.
Does that sound like something that would be yes or no? Here's a closed-ended question. Is the sun shining today? Yes. Would you like a receipt? Yes. Okay. If you say, would you like a receipt? And I say encyclopedia.
I probably would like you.
Yeah, right? Okay, but you were actively listening. Like that is not a normal answer. It has become so normalized for us, A, not to ask questions, and then B, when we do, not even listen to the answer. Does that make any common sense whatsoever? None. Zero. Zilch. Okay? So, we first have to set up the types of questions. Okay? And there's something called adapt. You guys say, well, this is just something in a textbook. We'll never use this. I kid you not. My first pharmaceutical experience, the first thing they taught us were adapt questions. Kid you not. I kid you not. Okay? These are assessment questions, followed by discovery questions. You're like, I didn't know there was this many types. Okay. Followed by activation questions. Then projection questions. And then fifth and final, transition questions. A-D-A-P-T. Adapt. Now, mind you, I know a lot of people want to be in like medical sales, device sales, pharmaceutical sales, that type of thing. Usually you start out pharmaceutical sales on a smaller level, work your way up, prove yourself to be an all-star, and then you get to go to the big league, which is device sales. Okay? I don't know if I've told y'all this. Have I told y'all this? When I got my first pharmaceutical job, they sent me to a hotel in New Jersey. It was with Santa Fe Adventist, who's headquartered in New Jersey. Actually, no, that's not true. Santa Fe Adventist is not headquartered in New Jersey. The contract sales organization that got me the job was headquartered in New Jersey. They spent 2 weeks teaching me everything I needed to know about allergy meds, heart meds, and everything. Okay? Every 4 days, I had a test, and if I didn't pass it, they sent me home fired. They also, part of that test was you would be an actor, a paid actor, pretending to be a doctor, and I would go in and call on you and enter a videotape. If I didn't ask the right questions, I was out. No pressure. Later, when I went with GlaxoSmithKline, they sent me to Raleigh for 6 weeks. Same thing. Every Friday in Raleigh, I had a test, and if I didn't pass it, I was home Saturday. Ups the ante, does it not? Adapt. Every one of them taught us adapt questions. Why? Because I was going to go into a room with, it wasn't even a fake doctor. It might actually be a doctor that worked for the pharmaceutical company, and I went in and called on him. Okay, don't worry. I'm going to have you guys calling on each other here soon enough. I can't exactly mimic it all because of social distancing and all, but we will be practicing that moving forward. Adapt questions. What are these different categories? Assessment questions. I'm going to read right off of figure 1 in your book. What you're looking to do with these questions, when you walk into a practice, and we talked about this, or you walk into a client's place, or you wherever you're selling, I don't care if it's cupcakes, pharmaceuticals, or cocaine, okay? Whatever you're selling, there's a funnel. You start out broad, and you finish with something to talk about. You start out broad, trying to uncover, A, what type of personality type we are. We talked about last week. Okay, because they're a driver, you're going to sell them very differently than you would, say, an expressive or an amiable. You've got to narrow this funnel. Now, what are assessment questions? Well, you got to think they're pretty wide open. Are any of these closed-ended? We've got open-ended and closed-ended questions. What do you think we're aiming to use? You got it. Open-ended. In fact, what's the only time I used a closed-ended question? The close. Will you buy this product? Yes, no. Okay? But to get there, can I walk right in and say, will you buy this product? Dude, I don't know who you are or what you're selling. I might have a receipt and reply with encyclopedia. Y'all have like a little bully stick or something in there you can whack people with?
Some stores do.
Depending on the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Assessment questions. They're broad. Okay? These are broad. I mean, it's funny because in the funnel, everything's broad right there, is it not? Okay. Broad base, general facts, describing the situation. Non-threatening. Probably a good start on a sale, not to physically threaten or verbally threaten or make someone feel threatened. Have you ever been to the mall? You know, like back when the mall was more of a thing? Okay. And the person in the kiosk comes up and sprays you with something? Yeah, I'm going to spray him with something else. It's called mace. Okay? Oh, how you like this? Oh, you know.
I walked up to my sister, took a lot of and straightened it.
Yeah.
Yep, that's happened to me.
Yes. That's why I don't go.
That's happened to you?
That happened to me. I've had people just come up behind me and touch my hair.
That's weird. That's right up there with, would you like a receipt? Encyclopedia. I would feel very violated. I would feel, all right, so do we want to do that in the broad stage? We're trying to make an impression. I'm just thinking of this ridiculous situation where I'm calling on this doctor and I walk in there with a hair straightener and try to. If your sales call ends with the police being called, it's probably not a good start. You want open-ended, broad, non-threatening. Okay? What are you trying to do here? Maximize info. I'm trying to uncover who you are, what type of person you are. Okay? Now, do you, let's go ahead and say, is it awkward? Like making a sales call on somebody you never called on? Is it awkward? It's going to be, guess what? You're going to make that sales call. You're going to interview for jobs, for grad school, whatever. And you're going to walk in there and you don't know that person. What's the first thing you should start doing? Start noticing. When you notice something, can you ask a question? What do people put, let's say, on their desks or in their areas or on themselves? Things that interest them. True? Things that, okay. You went to Starbucks, which one? Oh, you went to the cellar here. Okay. How's your experience there? Oh, okay. So just fine, or could it be better? You're in and out. So convenience is important to you. What if I could tell you that I could have your coffee delivered to your desk and it would just be here when you show up? Would that be a service that you would be interested in? Boom, sold. I noticed you're wearing Carhartt clothing. Is that why would you choose Carhartt clothing?
Comfortable.
It's comfortable. Any other reasons?
I like the brand.
You like the brand? Is it the logo or just the fact that, you know, what is it, quality or?
I guess quality.
I gotta be careful. I'm leading the witness a little bit there. Do you understand that? All right. If you had to say one thing about Carhartt and why you choose that sweatshirt today, what would it?
Reputation.
Reputation. So reputation matters. I tell you what, I happen to represent a clothing line that reputation matters to us. Would you like to learn more?
I would like to hear.
You, sir. I see you have an Oregon Ducks mask. Are you an Oregon fan? That's careful, because that was a closed-ended question. What do you like about Oregon? I mean, it's really far away and you're in South Carolina.
The spirit of the game.
The spirit of the game, like how they play. Speed of the game. So how they play. Gotcha. You like fast-paced offense. I got you. What do you want to do for a living? Media in production, which is a fast-paced industry. All right. What's your greatest challenge we're trying to get there?
Connection.
Trying to make connections. So what you're saying is meeting people and making the right connections are really important to you. Okay. I could sit here and sell him on the Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration all day long, but all he's really interested in is getting into media and meeting people. What if I could tell you that, okay, I know a few people, connections in Greenville. Now, Greenville doesn't sound that big. It's certainly not going to reach Oregon. However, some of my connections in Greenville know people in New York. Would you be interested in me making a phone call for you to get you an internship at like the Greenville CBS station, and then you could make some connections over there with some people in New York, and maybe next year you intern in New York City? How did I learn about him?
Good 5 minutes.
It started with a mask. Where did it end up? Internship in New York City, not Oregon. Learn about people. Sorry.
It's okay.
When I walked in to sell Avodart, which was an enlarged prostate pill, what's the first thing I need to establish? They can care less about selling. What do people care about? Their problems. Remember too, my time matters. If I walk into a physician's office, a lot of times a female physician sees more females than males. They'll see both, but particularly, I know my wife's more comfortable seeing women. So, and there's a reason why she's the only female ophthalmologist in the practice, is because sometimes women are more comfortable seeing other women. Except for these dirty old Navy vets, they want to get about that close to my wife's face. Okay? Just got one minute. One of them pinched on the butt. These are Navy vets, I'll let it slide. When y'all do that, it's on. Okay? Navy vets, they do this thing. Okay? The first thing I had to do when I was calling on the physician, in particular she was female, is to, first of all, do women have prostates? So, if you're a physician and all you see is women, am I wasting my time? So questions can be kind of selfish too. I can say, all right, Dr. Yakovic. That was my Barry impersonation of saying your name. Is it all right? All right. Tell me about your patients. Who all do you see? And you're like, oh, I really just see women of all ages and children. Even children, but do they have prostate problems? They shouldn't.
I would hope not.
5 seconds into this conversation, I just realized, you know what, you seem very nice, and I wish you a lot of luck. Maybe perhaps I'll get a pill one day that can help women, but I'm here to sell Avodart, and it's for enlarged prostates, and you know, I hope you have a fantastic day. I'm out of here. Okay? If I walk in there and you say, you know what, for some reason, all these old dirty men keep coming to see me, and their chief complaint is they have to get up and pee multiple times a night. Do I have something for that? Yes, because I got locked in a hotel room for 2 weeks and I passed tests that tell me if older guys, are having to get up and pee multiple times a night, Avodart can help them. Can I then solve a problem for her? How did I figure that out? I just asked questions. Guys, ladies, it's the same thing in the relationships. Teacher still?
Yes.
Okay. How'd that start?
Wait.
How'd that start? You approach him, he approach you? How'd that? He said, hey, baby, I've been watching you on Facebook. You don't know me, but.
I guess I would be the one that approached him.
Oh, look out now. So you're the salesperson. Okay, let's dig a little deeper. You okay with this line of questioning there, Aurora?
Yeah.
Good, because you and Jeremy are next. All right. What happened?
I went on a dating app, and it's always, the girl always makes the first move when making conversation.
Nice. See, I came along before dating apps. I'm uneducated now. However, so you sent him away.
Just hey, how's it going?
Oh, thumbs up.
Yeah, just a little.
When he was done dancing around the room, what did he do?
Reply back and say, hey, how's your day going?
What did he do? How did he start the conversation?
By asking what's up with me.
By asking
Yeah.
what was up with you. Now, I'm not saying you should walk into your customer saying, dude, what's up with you? Okay? There is a little more of a process there. But I'm here to tell you, if I can sell to W.E. Lovett or W.E. Lovett Hardware and Feed and Seed or whatever in Rankin, Georgia. By the way, they got a little barbecue joint right next door. On point. Okay? Georgians, they know how to make barbacoa. All right? This dude is not a warm and fuzzy kind of guy. When I walked in and said, hey, baby, how you doing? That would not have gone well for me. I walked in and said, I'm repenting concede. I'll be coming through. I'd love to talk to you every now and then. Doesn't have to be long, but really, on my first call, I just want to know, what are you having trouble with? What are you having trouble with? What do old country boys just like to do? Sit around and talk about what's wrong with the world. Is that not right? I must have been there 5 hours the first call. I'm pretty sure my boss thought I was a deputy. Okay? That guy was crikey. You would not have sent him a hey, what's up on whatever app. Okay? Technically, you asked the question too. But I just asked and then did what? Listen. Thankfully, over time, I learned your name and even gave you a new one, did I not? Roro. Okay? I'm going to forget that. I'll be senile at a nursing home screaming, I know me somebody named Roro. Okay? All right? Ask a question. Listen to it. All right? Do you want to play the game here, or we actually kind of need to move on? Right?
Yeah.
Start broad. Assessment questions. What? Hey, Wendell Lovett. What is your flyers? He knew what it was. I had a golf shirt on I said who it was. He knew why I was there. The previous guy sold to him too, but he didn't know me. I said, my goal is to solve your problem. You know what his problems were? It's centered on his the old rep with my company and the other rep that I was competing with. If the last bag of fertilizer on the bottom of the pallet is busted, he can't sell it, can he? And if he can't sell it, let's say he made $50 in profit on the entire pallet. If the last bag, which cost him $50, was busted, did he make any profit? That first visit, I said, let me make you a promise. You put that in a garbage bag and you save it for me, I'll take it with me. I'll throw it in the back of my truck and I'll make sure to reimburse that $50 every time, no question. Now, could I have been taken advantage of? Absolutely. Was I? I don't think so. Who do you buy from there on out? I think I sold him Malorganite for $4.80 a bag, and it cost me $1.99. Let's call it $4.99 or $1.99 to keep my math simple. That's the difference of $3. You know what? I got 15% of that $3. That sounds like a lot, but you send a truckload with about 900 bags to Rankin, Georgia. You tell me 900 times 45 cents. No, seriously, what was 900 times 45 cents? Because that's what I made off that one conversation.
405. 405.
405. And I told you I talked to him for what? 5 hours probably? 90% of the time we're just shooting the you know what. Divide 405 by 5. $81 an hour. Would you take a job tomorrow earning $81 an hour? All I did was ask the man a question, what you having difficulty with. I sold 20,000 different products. I didn't know which direction he was going to go. Now, had he gone, he's having problems with dating apps, I would have been like, but I got nothing for you. That's like me saying receipt, encyclopedia, I'm out of there. Okay? Ask a question, 5 minutes in, I know you don't have any male patience, I'm wasting my time. Ask a question, I got one to love his business for the rest of life, and it's really great because I got there right before lunchtime, like a little early, and his barbecue joint in South Georgia, they open at like 9 in the morning. So anyway, I was over there finishing up by 10. I left there every Monday for 2 years with a barbecue sandwich. That was just the cherry on top because I was earning $81 an hour because I asked a question and then I listened. Gage. So if he asks, it's Gage, right?
Yes.
I rarely use his real name. He's the good teacher. Because at school, I'm a college dad. And no one's good enough for my daughters. All right? Gage. That's his real name. Okay? If he'd asked you a question and did not listen, it doesn't go anywhere, does it? Good man. Okay? Doesn't go anywhere. Have you ever thought you have to ask your parents for something? Or ask somebody you need something? I know you've been down this road. Okay. What's the last thing you should do when you ask that question of your parent? Number one, don't be disrespectful. Number two, should you start with a closed-ended question? Mom, what would you think if I went to the mountains this weekend with some friends? Versus, Mom, can I go to the mountains with my crazy-ass friends? That's a simple answer, is it not? If you ask her, what would you think? Well, I have some concern about the way Bobby drives. Oh, okay. Well, Bobby's not driving. We don't let him drive. I'll drive. Okay, now I got something to consider. Is this true? No. Apologies if it's my daughter. Hell no. Okay? But did I give myself a better chance by asking an open-ended question? Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Discovery questions. What are we doing with discovery questions? Questions probing information gained in the assessment. So here is, what's your biggest problem? Broad, right? Discovery, busted fertilizer bags. Can you explain that? Well, you have to understand if I got 40 bags on a pallet and the last bag's busted, all of my profit just spilled on the floor. Did I discover something? Yep. All right. So you're seeking to uncover problems or dissatisfaction that could lead to suggested buyer needs. So here you're trying to ID a need. All right. The bags are, honestly, I didn't plan this. I was like, how's this going to go? But you know how I know this? If I go to your practice and you don't see men, I'm wasting my time. If I go to your hardware store and you need, I'm jumping careers here, and you need somebody who takes care of that busted bag because it kills your profitability, I just identified a need. I discovered something. All right. Activation questions. Show negative impact of a problem discovered in the discovery sequence and is designed to activate the buyer's interest in a desire to solve the problem. All right. I hate want to say activate again, but that's kind of the word I want to look at. So I've discovered your issue is the busted bag of fertilizer. How does that make you feel? I'm pretty sure that's not what I asked Wendell, because I know Mr. Wendell. I need to check on him, see if he's still alive. And it wouldn't. He's a salty old coot. I bet he's still there. I'm going to try to. I know you guys don't know this, so it probably won't be as fun. I'm going to put this on here so my camera doesn't. What's that? I'm going to do my Wendell impersonation. I don't know. It makes me feel like punching you straight in the face, you dumb ass. That's how he talked. Well, for $81 an hour, I'll let people talk all kinds of ways. I can understand that. Did I just activate a visceral response from Wendell Love? Do me a favor. You got Google up there? Google W.E. space Lovett, Lovett, hardware, Rankin, Georgia. I hope he's still there. Because that means he's tortured another rep, so we haven't had this class. Anything?
Lovett hardware.
Yeah.
On Facebook.
God, Linda's on Facebook. I'm sorry, I gotta look. That's him, still selling baby chicks. No, wait, who's that guy? Is that his son? That ain't him. Go to photos.
So Facebook something does work.
Well, I didn't say you couldn't do it. It's just you don't talk about it. That's him.
I want to know this person.
He got balled out or something. That's not one of them. There's a long story that I'll tell when we're not recording and trying to do a lecture. If y'all ever want to meet, I can tell you some stories about South Georgia boys. All right. Activation question. So, broad, your problem, idea, need. How does that make you feel? Projection questions. Projects what life would be like without the problems. So, based on this, if I can take this issue away. Now, comma, I could say, then would you buy from me? But is that open or closed ended? Then, how would that help you? Is that a closed ended question? Or open ended question? Well, that would help my financials. And honestly, I'll call up my competing rep right now and tell him he's done and you're in. I said, I would like that. The competing company was a company called BWI. I literally listened while Wendell called them and said, you're not my fertilizer supplier anymore. And then I ate a barbecue sandwich. Who is it that has that song that says, today was a good day? What am I talking about? That rapper. I can't remember his name. Ice-T? Is that Ice-T?
Yeah, Ice Cube.
Ice Cube. I knew it had ice in it somewhere. Ice Cube. Today was a good day. We'll play that on the way out. Okay? Projection questions. Let me project my solution upon your problem. I've teased it out. I've gotten you fired up, and I'm saying, no worries, man. You tell me that happens. I literally went over. There's a hardware store. All right? They have hefty bags over there. I went over, bought hefty bags, the big roll, out of my own money. And it's usually those big yard ones. You know the big yard ones you put leaves and stuff in that don't tear up? I said, I wrote Jonathan Kiesler, Pennington seed on it, set it behind the counter, and I said, anytime a bag of fertilizer is busted on me, you put it in this bag, I'll credit you. So not only did I give him business, you understand? By buying garbage bags from him, I said, you put my busted fertilizer in here, You stack them out back, I'll throw them in the back of my truck, take them. It's kind of like your receipt. All right, you're returning something to me, and I'll credit you every time. Now, do busted bags of fertilizer happen? Does it kill his margin? I would say out of every, let's see, I could get 14 pallets on the truck. He would order 14. I'd say 1 out of 14. So 13 out of 14 pallets were fine. Did I make money in the long run? How did I get there? Same way I figured out why you like Carhartt. Why the teacher's still around. How Oregon means New York City media internship. Maybe you can go to the mountains this weekend. I met your mom, probably not. Okay. I think that's going to be one of those things that are pretty much permanent.
I did talk her into going to Charleston Monroe and then COVID, so close. So
If it makes y'all feel any better, you three, you other guys I kind of know you, but you three, I'd let y'all take my kids somewhere. I would. Yeah, I really hope they grow up to have friends like y'all. I really do, especially my daughter. After she's locked, I let her out of the basement when she's 32. For all of her online degrees. The teacher. Okay. Lastly, transition questions. Confirms the buyer's interest in solving a problem, transitions to the solution. Okay, I think we're to a point, if I can solve that problem for you, you're ready to start talking pricing. Yeah. That's a little closed-ended. Say, would you like to see your options? Yes. Here's my lineup of fertilizers. Which ones do you want? I'll guarantee every bag. There's literally a brand called Black Cow. It's cow manure. There's literally a brand called Milorganite, sold at Lowe's. And it's human manure from Milwaukee Sludge. It's actually really good. Hilton Head's covered in it. Told y'all that much. Deer can't stand the smell of it, so they won't need to go away from it. It's a way to protect your tomatoes or your flowers. I can have a truck here tomorrow with 14 pallets, and I'll guarantee every bag on the truck. Do I have your business now that I've presented you my pricing? Shake the hands. Back when you could shake hands, today we bump elbows. Window be like, I ain't buying anything from no man that won't shake my hand. I guarantee you that's exactly what he would have said. And I said, Rona be damned. I'm making 400 and something. Five, even better. 500. I'll shake your hand. For $500, I'll shake every hand in here. I'd lick that doorknob for $500. Okay. 81 bucks an hour? What's QT paying over there? It ain't that, is it? 5 hours. Most people are like, you are insane for staying there for 5 hours, Emma. I'm insane for staying at that cell for 5 hours. The doctor who doesn't have my in-use. Am I insane for staying at this guy? Heck no, man. I get to see that guy every Monday morning and grab a barbecue sandwich on the way out for the next 2 years. That was incredibly awesome. Then I'd go up to Springfield, Georgia, and do the same thing. And then I'd go up to Statesboro, Georgia. And then I'd go to Fort Stewart and sell the Army some stuff. And then I'd go down to Savannah. And then I'd come down to Brunswick, Georgia every Monday night for 2 years. And then sometimes I'd spring a little coin if I had a good month and tell the company to put me out on St. Simon's Island, Georgia. You've been right there. It's pretty pretty. It's pretty pretty. All right. All because of adaptive questions. Assessment, discovery, activation, projection, transition. You really want to I've still got 9 to go, but I've been very impressed by the reflection vectors. Thank you very much. I want you to use stuff like this in your projection, or in your reflection vector. Okay, keep doing it. All right. I want you to reflect upon what Carnegie's saying and say, and say, you know what, I got this weakness, I got this strength. This speaks to me on a whole nother level. Here's why. And if we take what he's saying here, if we're truly trying to give reasons for people to choose my product or service, for their own good, how did this assist in that process? And If you're that hardware guy, I think, I hope, I pray I've illustrated through this process how these types of questions can get down to what I need or where I need to get the heck up out of. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. Get to the cell here. See, you guys, up until now, everything's been like, you got to roll up in there and just start selling. And there's a lot of companies, most of them, they'll tell you that's exactly what you need to do. But if I just rolled up there and started selling that cat, what do you think was going to happen?
I told you to slow down.
He's telling me to get the hell out of there. Get out of the way. He's sitting there trying to figure out how he's going to get his fertilizer money. Stop. Ask questions. And then what? Listen. Listen. So what are some tips on active listening? We're out of time. I'm going to go over this really quick. Ten keys to effective listening. This is exhibit 4-7 in your hymnal. Okay. 10 keys to effective listening. Key practice. Find areas of interest. Oregon mask. Carhartt. The teacher. Freedom. Okay. All right. The weak listener tunes out the dry subjects. Fertilizer is pretty dry. I mean, literally, if it's being stored properly, it should be dry. Strong listener actively looks for opportunities of common interest. Boom, jumped on it. Oregon, how in the crap do we end up in the media business? You got me? Okay. Key practice number 2, judge content, not delivery. There were people, when I was selling in South Georgia, you ever seen, and I'm probably guilty of this too, you ever seen, what is it, Hank Hill, what's that show? King of the Hill. You know his little friend Boomhauer? Man, Dagamo will come over here and man, South Georgia, man, I need some Dagamo deer mix, and they come over here and Dagamo fertilizer. I didn't pick up 90% of what he said, but I heard 2 things. He said deer mix, which I sold, and fertilizer, which I also sold. So what was my follow-up question? On clay pots? No, active listening. I mean, normally I would be all about, did you hear what he said? Let's go joke around about it. Deer mix, fertilizer, active listening. Hold your fire until full consideration. Do not judge or evaluate until the message is complete. Oh, you need fertilizer? Let me cut you off. I got fertilizer right there. That wasn't your point. You stopped and said, I have fertilizer. I just have fertilizer spilled everywhere and it's killing me. Listen. Stop and listen. Like, if I have no idea what he's doing, but if he had asked you something and he saw the little bubbles pop up that you were going to say something, and you look at yourself right there, oh! Not very appealing, is it not? What's a key part, Rodney, I'm going to use your thing here, of active listening? Sometimes the hardest choice is the easiest one. Is it easier to talk or easier to shut up? It's easier to shut up, but it's so hard to do. Active listening involves you shutting up. Listen for ideas. Okay? Be flexible. I didn't have permission to reimburse them everything. But if I go back to my boss and say, hey, I just sold a truckload of fertilizer, all we have to do is replace 1 bag, are they going to do it? You bet. Okay? Work at listening. Work at listening. This is a practice you have to do now. It's kind of like that thing we were talking about last week with the different personality types. You have to work at identifying who's what. Okay? If for some reason you missed that lecture, I put it online. I did the exact same thing from my home. I thought that was as effective. And then it's also on here. Hi. Resist distractions. This is my toughest one. Hi, what is your name? And you're like, plain as day, my name is Rowan. But I'm like, squirrel. If you ask a question, be considerate. Stop, look at them, and hear the answer. Okay? Exercise your mind. A weak listener resists difficult I can't talk. A weak listener avoids tough material. I can't say that word right now, so I'm not even going to try. Okay? In favor of light recreational materials. A weak listener plays TikTok instead of studies. Uses complex or heavy materials and exercise of the mind. Let me tell you what. For 2 weeks and then later for 6 weeks in my pharmaceutical game, I made a ton of money in pharmaceuticals. But if I hadn't focused for those 2 or 6 weeks, I would not have made a ton of money in pharmaceuticals. You understand? The obstacle is the way. Listen. Think of creative ways to solve a problem. I do know some people at New 7. We should probably talk. And I'm sure they know some people up in New York. We should probably talk. Okay? All right. Keep an open mind. A weak listener reacts with emotional words. What have I always told y'all? What's the secret to life? React well. Okay? You can interpret the words and not get hung up on them. Now, if you say, would you like a receipt? And they say encyclopedia, and you're at one of the stores that has the stick, maybe grab the stick. Don't show the stick, but have the stick ready. Because if someone says like encyclopedia after asking them a receipt, the next thing they may do is lunge across the counter. If you do hit somebody with a bully stick, I want video of that. Okay. Capitalize on the fact that thought is faster than speech. Listeners tend to daydream with slow speakers. The strong listener challenges, anticipates, mentally summarizes, weighs evidence, and listens between the lines. And then when you're done with this call, even though I'm exhausted and I have a barbecue sandwich to eat, 5 hours later, I wrote down everything I can remember from my call on when to look. Why? Because I'm going to see 100 different cats in between the next time I see him. And I want to roll back in there 100 people later and pick up the conversation exactly where we left it off. Because that's what you remember. And if I remember that, if I come in and say, hey, I'm Jonathan, like, I know you're dummy, I bought a truckload of fertilizer from you last week. The rewards go to the prepared. The sales go to people who ask questions, shut up and listen. In that order. You've been a lovely audience. Please tip your waitresses. That's my way of saying class is over. Y'all never want to leave. Is it because I rock y'all to sleep, or you just want me to keep teaching? In my mind, I'm just going to keep teaching.
Because I'm paying for more time.
You really, honest to God, are. That's why I go home on the week, like through the week, even though I'm distanced, and I try to record more. I mean it, Rodney. If you want more, you let me know. If you want me to just turn on a video camera and start talking about some of these people I call on, let me know. We will try to transition out of theory and into practice. More that we kind of touched on it today when I came in and got way too much information from each of you about things and then made you a South Georgia, potentially racist hardware store owner. That was him, not you, but you know. But you know what? At $81 an hour, I'll put up with a lot of crap.